So welcome to Just Trippin', a channel that's basically dedicated to cruise travel. I mean, we might open it up to a couple of other things, vacations, different things like that. So normally you all see me posting cinematic videos of my cruise experiences. And so today I thought I would do a little bit something different and get behind the camera and actually give you guys 24 tips for new cruise travelers. Just a little few tidbits of things that I think may be important, things you may know, things you may not know. And also you can leave comments down in the comment section about anything that you may want me to expand upon or explain further. So yeah, I've broken it down into 3 areas. I did bring my notepad just so that I can make sure I stay on track. The video hopefully won't be too long, but hopefully it'll be informative if it is, all right? So I've pretty much broken it down into 3 areas. So we've got your planning phase, we've got your embarkation phase, and we've got your debark. So basically what those mean are basically, once again, the planning phase, how you're gonna plan this cruise, maybe who you're gonna cruise with. Also, once again, going into the things that happen as you're on the ship, what to expect, and also the things about when you're getting off the ship, all right? So let's just jump right on into it. So we'll talk about planning, right? So what months are normally the best times to cruise? So I'm looking at around January, also May. Then we can jump all the way to the end of the year and go September to December. And those are normally what they call hurricane seasons or off seasons. And so I know, a lot of people may see things on different social media sites. Let's just say TikTok, for instance. You may see videos of storms and other things like that. Now, I'm not saying those occurrences do not happen, but the problem is they don't happen that often to where your sailing would be ruined. There are times where there have been boats that were not able to make any of the sailings as far as any of the port stops. And so in that case, I'm pretty sure they were reimbursed or refunded or whatever for the cruise, or maybe even just the excursions or whatever they had already booked. But in that case, once again, your captain of the boat is definitely going to be in a position to where, if you're out there at the sea and you experience some rough waves or whatever the case may be, he definitely will divert and go right around all of that so that you'll still have the most enjoyable time on that cruise. But once again, it is the sea. Things are, sometimes not always able to be known. So once again, just leave it up to the captain. Once again, you're always in good hands. And let's go ahead on to the next thing. So let's just talk about what things do you need to have once planning a cruise. So let's just talk about the documents first. So you'll want to make sure that you have a passport. If you want basically faster, expedited service on the way out and also in, just dependent. A passport is not required for the cruise. It is called a closed loop cruise, which basically means that the place that the cruise ship originates also goes out and it comes back to that same port. So with that being a cruise loop, a cruise ship loophole, basically that prevents you from having to have a passport. Now a passport is good, so let's just say something happens. Let's just say you happen to be a cruise runner, right? A pier runner, whatever you want to call it, a person who basically goes out and spends way too much time not realizing that the ship is on a very tight schedule, right? And so what happened in that particular instance, if they cannot find you, because they will try to find you, the boat will just not pull off. They will try to make an effort to find you, right? But if they just can't, then unfortunately the boat does have to go, and you will definitely need that passport, or you may have to go to a local embassy and try to plead for an emergency passport in order to get back to the States or wherever you're coming from, all right? So let's not be one of those people, all right? We all family, but hey, let's all try to make sure that we look out for each other. Nobody wants to get left. I mean, I understand everybody has fun, but also make sure that you're aware of ship time versus the island time where you are, all right? And normally before you get off the boat, if you're listening for the chime that goes off, it'll usually come in the hallway most of the time and in your rooms as well. But just make sure you listen out for those things. And once again, they'll give you instructions on how you need to set your time so that way you don't end up being one of those pier runners, all right? So once again, documents, you can have a passport, but it's not required. What is required is a photo ID and your birth certificate. If you do not have a copy of your birth certificate, I will drop a link in the comment letting you guys know exactly where you can get a replacement birth certificate. It is the same place where I got my replacement, and I go on every cruise with it, never had a problem. So make sure that you look down in the comments. So if you do not have a birth certificate on hand, if your mama can't find it in her Bible, if she can't find it wherever she hid it, I mean, I don't know about most of you guys, but hey, we give most of that important stuff to our parents, and they've just pretty much safe kept it for us for the longest time. So yeah, if you can't find that, once again, look in the comments, and I'll leave a, or if it's not in the comments, it'll be in the description of the video, and it'll have a link there for you to go and get those documents that you need. All right, so let's move on. So we'll talk about deposits. So deposits pretty much are dependent upon, I would say, your tier level of what kind of a cruiser you are. And so it's broken down into color groups. You know, you'll have your blue, your red, your gold. You'll also have your diamond and platinum members as well. And so depending upon that, I believe deposits may vary. I've seen some as low as $50. I've seen some as high as, $300, just depending on how many people are in the room, basically is what that deposit's going to be based on. Upon my understanding, I believe you cannot do a deposit less than, I want to say, 90 days out from that cruise. So if that cruise is less than 90 days of sailing, you will be required to pay that full amount up front in order to book that itinerary. All right. So let's talk about insurance. I don't know if you guys had gotten a chance to see the prior video that I had posted, but I had just came off of a sailing to Costa Maya and Cozumel, and the trip returned on February the 1st of this year, 2024. And unfortunately, we had a passenger that she did pass away. She had a stroke, or either, I believe it may have been a heart attack, either one of those two. But it happened in the casino on the 5th floor. From my understanding, she was at a machine, and she kind of felt that something wasn't right. She said that I need to get out of here, and then she had collapsed on the floor and basically was unresponsive. I don't really want to get into all the details because I'm not really sure of all of the details. But if you go and just watch that prior video, and I'll link it at the end as well. But if you go and watch that video, you'll see how we kind of had to divert towards Cancun on our way back from Cozumel, going back to New Orleans. And basically what ended up happening is the Navy, they came out in their boat. It's called like a little interceptor boat. But anyhow, they came out, their doctors came on board, and I guess tried to do whatever they could on their end as well. And then she was transported onto their boat, and then they went ahead on back to Cancun. And then it was later pronounced that, she did pass away. So, we offer our condolences to her and her family. And, we hope that, as a YouTube family, a cruise family, that, you guys are able to find some kind of peace with the situation. Even though it was a traumatic, unexpected thing. And so that's what leads me to my point about insurance, right? Because with insurance, it's not a sure way, but it is some kind of comfort to make sure that if things that are unforeseen happen, at least some of the cost of things will be handled. Now, whether you choose to get insurance through Carnival or do that on your own outside of Carnival, that's up to you. You can read all of the fine details about what is covered and what is not covered. But at the end of the day, I know that if you don't have insurance, and this is just based on talking to, a few family members, but if you do not pay for that insurance or have any type of insurance and something happens to where you have to be medvac through helicopter or either taken by boat transport, you will have to reimburse that country that provided those services. And also you will have to reimburse the Carnival Cruise Lines, in my understanding, for the accommodations for getting back to the States. So yeah, just make sure that you do whatever you have to do to make sure that you take care of that, all right? So let's go ahead and talk about arrival to the cruise and parking, all right? So when you arrive, let's just talk about how before you do that, you will have to wait I believe it is either 7 or 14 days. I believe it's a 14-day window right before you cruise, in which they will unlock your cruising itinerary for you to do what's called an online check-in. And so in this online check-in, what you'll do is basically you'll figure out your bedding situation. So whether you want one bed in your room that's a king size, or whether you want to break it down to two full-size beds, or if you have more people in your party, it may call for some of the bedding that is dropped down from the ceiling. So just however many people are in your stateroom, that's how you'll decide that, right? And so along with that, you want to make sure that you pick your dining time. You can choose specific times, or myself, I normally choose the what's called your time. So basically, I believe it's like from 5:30 until I believe 9 or 10 p.m. or something in that sense. Pretty much, it allows me to go whenever I want to without having to go at a specified time. Normally, if you go to the main dining hall to eat, you do have to check in on the app. And the app, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But you'll just make sure that you want to check in on that. That way, you're notified of when your table is ready or whatever. Also on that, you'll be able to check in. Well, you can check in your guests prior, but that's when you start getting between that really, really fine area of you're going to have to start incurring a name change fee if you happen to change somebody. So at that point, you definitely want to make sure that whoever you're going to go on this cruise with, make sure they are the perfect person for you, right? Even if it's a friend, significant other, family, it doesn't matter. The worst thing that you want to have in your room is somebody that you cannot tolerate, somebody that you have to babysit. I mean, obviously beyond the child, but you don't want to have that issue with being on vacation. You're trying to enjoy yourself, and at the same time, now you're having to worry about somebody else, and you really can't enjoy yourself and have fun. You don't want to be with somebody who gets themselves kicked off the boat, or gets themselves in trouble, or they become too inebriated from drinking, or just whatever the case is, bringing people back to your room, just anything like that. So just make sure that you are very, very, very mindful of the person that you bring on the cruise. And so at that time is, like I said, you'll be able to lock in that person for sure. And just make sure that you have a blast or whatever. Also with parking, if you're not flying in, I mean, obviously if you're flying in, just take an Uber, or if you have family members that are close to that port, have someone to bring you or whatever, ride share, whatever the case is. But if you are driving to the port, just beware that you will have to find a parking garage, whether it's provided by the cruise terminal or an outside entity. You'll make sure that you need to do that. And make sure that you pay, obviously, the appropriate fees. I've seen some parking garages where they charge you right up front, and then I've seen others where you pay for it on the back end when you get back. Personally, I've never paid more than, I want to say, $90 to park. And that just depends on, once again, as well, how many days you're actually selling and how much that parking garage is charging you per day. I believe on the last selling that I went on, I believe I paid, I think it was like $85. And so the benefit of that is when you do go with someone, if you're splitting that cost of the parking, then obviously the parking fee doesn't become as much. And so you kind of work as a unit, kind of as a team, and kind of as a family. You see what I'm saying? So that's exactly what you want to do. You want to make sure that whoever you go with, you guys talk up front about everything, how you're going to split the parking, how you're going to split, pretty much everything. And so that takes us right on into talking about the accounts. I know a lot of you, goodness gracious, if I could tell you how many stories I've heard of people that go on a cruise with somebody and what happens. You're out somewhere, they're out somewhere, and y'all both are spending, but at the same time, you have everything coming to one person's account. That's not going to look good, because I've seen disputes and fights happen over the balance at the end. All right. So what you want to make sure that you do during that online check-in time, that's when you will set up accounts for everybody. Now, keep in mind, when you book the cruise, you cannot set this up. You cannot set it up until they unlock that 14 days prior to cruising, to where you will set up accounts. And so you'll set those accounts up either by using a debit card, credit card, or you can say that you want to set up a cash account when you get on the boat. All right. So you can choose to do that however you want. There are many different ways of doing it. It just depends on what is best for you. Me personally, I've always chosen debit card or cash accounts. All right. And that's because, a lot of times if you're out spending a lot, and I mean a lot, or it doesn't even matter, but once you get over a certain threshold, Carnival wants to make sure, you know what? I want to make sure you got those funds to cover that. So what are they going to do? You're going to get that notification, and that's provided you have internet, but you'll get a notification saying, hey, Carnival Cruise Lines is trying to debit this much from your account. And so if you don't have enough in there to cover things like that, then you want to make sure that you go with a different option, a gift card option. I believe you can add a cash amount through cash dollars or something like that when you're setting it up. Or like I said, you can just physically take cash, go to guest services, drop that cash on your account, and that cash will be to cover anything that you purchase outside of what you already have. All right. So we'll go to cancellations, the same thing. Once you down below a certain threshold, Carnival will no longer refund any of it back. All right. With COVID, they lost a lot of money. So I've seen a lot of cancellations as far as like the percentage that they give you back has changed. So you can look a little bit further into that as far as their cancellation policy, how many days you need to be out before anything happens, which once again, that takes you back to insurance. Having that assurance, make sure that you are covered in the event that anything happens, whether it's an emergency, whether it's a conflict of schedules, or just somebody drops out and you no longer want to go. Well, guess what? Well, now you have the insurance that will make sure that you are refunded in full and not just a percentage. It works no different than if you bought something and you took it back. Well, what are they going to do? Most likely, they're going to charge you a restocking fee. So basically, that's kind of what it is. It's kind of like hey, you know what? You kind of wasted our time by booking this. So now we're going to take like 20% of that and we'll give you the rest back for wasting our time. Even though they know that they can go ahead and fill that spot, guess what? They're still going to go ahead and take that from you, okay? So once again, let's talk about the excursions. Excursions, you can do that however you want as well. But one thing that I will say is make sure, hey, hear me closely. Make sure that you book what you want and do not book something that you're going to have to cancel for. Because if you cancel an excursion, it's not always for sure that they're going to allow you to. All right. So it just really depends on how that works. Also, keep in mind, so like when you're looking on the Carnival app, look at a lot of those excursions that you want to do, but don't just look at the excursion and hit add to cart. Make sure you read the details. Make sure you look at the reviews. We all know how reviews go. It's not always law. You know what I mean? One person's opinion may not be yours, but the entire point is at least you'll get a view of kind of like a majority of the people and how they feel about this particular excursion, right? Also, please pay mind of the restrictions. With the restrictions, if you'll notice, a lot of the cruises, they have weight restrictions on some of the excursions. That can be anywhere from 225 pounds to 250 pounds. And so what happens if you are over, obviously what happened? You won't be able to go on that excursion. And what happened is, if you know for sure, hey, look, trust me, if you know that you are more than the weight limit that it is telling you is a restriction for this particular cruise, do not take yourself down to meet them and then they happen to check and then you're over the weight. What's going to happen? You're not getting a refund from Carnival and you're still not going to go on that excursion. So I know some people, and it just really depends. But hey, I'll just say take it at your own risk. I've seen other people go down there that are overweight and, maybe the guides were a little bit lax and didn't really care. But at the same time, I've seen some people that are right down there with a scale, making sure that you are not exceeding the weight, especially for things like camel riding, horseback riding. I've even seen a cave excursion where literally you're just walking around in the caves and doing other things, and that one even had a weight restriction, I believe, of like 250 or something like that, which I can understand because they definitely want you to be kind of, in a position to where you're a little fit, to where you're not maybe keeping the group back from any type of restrictions or anything like that, or any kind of things like that. So just make sure that you look at those and you're mindful of that. Also, please note that some excursions, when you go on those are based on an occupancy of 2. Not all of the excursions are for just one person. There are some that are grouped up like that. So just like I said, be mindful when you add it to the cart. Just make sure that the person who's wanting to go on that particular excursion, their name is checked. And if the other party in the room does not want to attend, just make sure that's unchecked, all right? So also, let's just talk about room hacks. I will also post a link in the comment of my website, right? And so in that website, I have different room hacks like the gorilla hooks, your door organizers, different things like that that'll help you to save space while you're in your room. I'm not going to go too deep into that. It's pretty self-explanatory. Also, I want to talk about the Carnival Hub app. You want to make sure that you download the Carnival Hub app before you go. Worst case scenario, download it as you are in the line trying to do your embarkation to get on the boat. Because the problem is once that boat sails and leaves, I mean, come on, what cell tower is in the ocean? 0. So with there being no cell towers, you won't be able to download that app. And so therefore, you won't be able to do anything unless you've purchased the internet package, all right? So make sure that you download that. And in that Hub app, that's where you'll be able to see all of the event times for the entire day of every activity that's going on. Also, you'll be able to see everything from what your kids may be doing in the kids' camps. Just pretty much everything, your eating and dining times, what movies are playing for the nighttime, what comedians are up. So pretty much any and everything, all right? Let me grab a drink real quick, sorry about that. Also, you wanna make sure that you call Carnival, because what happens is there is a theme for every boat, right? And there's a lot of information that's out there that's not as accurate. So what you want to make sure that you do is you actually call Carnival, you let them know obviously the sailing that you're going on, and when you do that, they will let you know what themes are for that particular boat. I will try to put a list on the screen of the current information that I have, because as of 2024, a lot of the different sailings, they have changed up a lot of their themes. So particular, let's just say one boat might have had a superhero theme party. Well, that particular sailing may no longer have that. So the last thing you want to do is pack a costume for a superhero party, and there's not even one on your sailing. So just make sure that you call Carnival to make sure that your sailing has whatever particular themes for that party. That way you can pack your outfits, costumes appropriately for that, all right? So we're talking about the captain's dinner. Captain's dinner normally happens on the second night. I've seen it also happen on the third night. It just depends really on how many sailings you have. I've seen anywhere from, once again, 1 captain dinner to 2 captain dinners. But pretty much any night can be a fancy night. And basically that's all the captain's dinner is. It's kind of like an appreciation night, and where you get dressed up really fancy. And fancy just really depends on what you want to do. I mean, you can literally come in there semi-casual as well. But also note there is a dress policy for that. So you definitely don't want to be in there with shorts or anything like that on that particular night. Now, once again, the captain's dinner is optional. You're free to go any and everywhere and eat other than that captain's dinner. So you never have to actually partake of that captain's dinner if you don't want to, all right? But once again, look in that Carnival Hub app, and that Carnival Hub app will let you know exactly what night that is, so that you can dress appropriately for that. Let's talk about the drink packages. So you'll have everything from the Cheers package, which is alcoholic beverages, to the bottomless package, which is nothing but sodas. So when we're talking about the prices, so on the bottomless bubbles package, once again, that just includes sodas, you're looking at $6.95 a day per child, and you're looking at $9.50 a day for an adult, and that's per day once again. And this is for unlimited sodas, pretty much. Then we'll take it over to the Cheers package, which is alcoholic beverages, and that package is for adults that are 21 years of age or older. Keep in mind though, if you have 2 people in your room, if you have 3 people, I don't care how many people are in your room, that drink package will be applied to everyone in your stateroom. All right? Make sure you hear what I say. That will be applied to everyone in the stateroom. So let me give you a breakdown of what it costs. So for the Cheers package, it is $59.95 per person per day. Per person per day. And what that allows is 15 drinks within a 24-hour period. So just make sure that you know that. It's 15 drinks per person per 24 hours. Now, if you do get to, wasted, they do have the option to cut you off when they want. So just be mindful of that. Also, that Cheers package for the alcoholic drinks does obviously include the soda package as well, specialty coffees, and any of those type of things as well. If you decide that you don't want to pay for the beverage package or the alcohol package, they have plenty of machines that have lemonade and some other things, and also water as well. So they also have a coffee machine as well, I think just for decaf coffee, no specialties. And they also have a hot chocolate machine, which all of those are free as well. There's no cost for that at all. Also, just keep in mind that if you are in Texas or New York, that Cheers package will start on the second day of your selling and not the first. All right, keep in mind, New York and Texas, day 2 is when your drink packages start. So once again, when you're getting on the cruise, keep in mind, the drink package can be activated on the spot unless you are in those 2 particular states. And so what'll happen is your room, when you get on the boat, it will not be ready yet. So what you may want to do is make sure that you keep your booking itinerary on you. And when you have that booking itinerary, that will serve as a temporary state card or a sign and sell card, basically. And so they'll just get your room number off that, and they'll be able to assess the charge for you unless you bought one of the packages. Or if you did buy the package, that will basically verify that you have that package in order for you to go ahead and get your drinks, all right? So let's see where we are on the board here. We'll talk about also with the documents. You want to make sure that you actually have those documents printed out prior. I have seen some ports that actually give you the ability to print those as well at the port. But if at all costs, make sure that you print those documents before you get there. Make sure you have your luggage tags. Make sure you have everything that you need to go. And in a separate, you'll have your actual baggage that has all of your main everything. Always make sure you have your carry-on or a little pouch or something. That is what you'll keep all of your important documents on. Because what'll happen is once you get to the port, you'll have, in a sense, like a valet service. Now keep in mind, most of these do work off tips. So even if you just have $5 or something, just hand them $5, and basically what you're doing is just saying, hey, thanks for taking my bag, and making sure that it gets to the crew to get on the boat. But what happens is once you give them those bags, you won't see those again until they're dropped off at your room. So there's no way that you will even be able to get on the boat unless you have those documents on you. So make sure that the important documents stay on you at all times until you get on the boat. Make sure they stay on your persons at any time. And that's your birth certificate, your photo ID, or a passport. Make sure those particulars stay on you along with your boarding pass at all times. All right. So let's say once you get on the boat, let's talk about embarkation. All right. Once you get on the boat, the first thing that you'll want to make sure that you do, I understand once you get on, it's going to look fancy and it's going to be an incredible time. The excitement level is probably going to be, all the way on 10. But what you want to make sure that you do is find the muster station. The muster station is pretty much where you'll go in the event that there's an emergency. They have it alphabetically categorized based on the deck that you're on and the room number that you're in. And so everybody will be assigned a letter. And so once you get on that boat, on your boarding pass, it'll already tell you what muster station number that you're on. You'll see different crew members holding up different signs, letting you know in which direction that you need to go in order to get to that muster station. And when you get there, basically what they'll do is the same way that a safety drill is performed pretty much on an airplane, it'll be the same way. So you'll get there and they'll explain how to use a flotation device. They'll explain everything that goes along with it. They'll explain that that particular boat that you're in front will be the lifeboat that you would get in the event of an emergency. So you just need to pay attention to that. So if anything were ever to happen, you would know where to go. Also keep in mind, there are your flotation devices are in your closet in your stateroom. You should have as many life jackets in there per people that are in your room. So you'll normally find those in the top of the closet in your stateroom. All right. So let's just talk about, once again, once you get on the boat, your room will not be ready until around, I would say, or at least around 1:30, maybe 2 o'clock. It just depends. Now, keep in mind, you'll be getting on the boat way earlier than that. But the problem is you have to realize that the day that you're getting on the boat, that same boat came back early that morning. And so as everybody was getting off that prior boat at around 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, now the crew has to really go and reset this entire boat to where it looks as if no one's ever been on it before. And so in the midst of them doing that, obviously your room won't be ready. Even if you go and check your room, you may find that your sign and sail card is in your door, but you probably won't find your luggage inside of your cabin or outside of your door at that particular time until at least 1:30 or not later. So at that time, what I like to say is explore, eat, relax. All right? That's the time you'll take to explore the ship, start taking your vlogging videos. You know, you'll still have pretty much internet at that time because the boat hasn't left. So take that time to video call all your friends. And so at that time, you'll be able to explore all of the different restaurants that they have on board. How many of y'all going to Guy's Burgers? Right. Place is amazing. Fries are amazing as well. All right. So once again, you can explore all of the different food options that are there. You can grab you a drink. Also, when you're getting on the boat, keep in mind that you are allowed to carry a 12-pack of soda or juice per person in that room. Also, you can take 1 bottle of wine. You may want to check on Carnival's website to make sure that the amount for that particular bottle is the amount that you're bringing. Once again, 1 alcoholic beverage per responsible adult. All right, 1 bottle. Also, if you do not drink pure alcohol, feel free to bring the equivalent, which would be like the Welch's sparkling grape juices, things of that nature. It still qualifies as a bottle of wine. So feel free to bring one of those. The only thing that you cannot bring is packs of water. Now, what you can do is once you're on the Carnival app, prior to the cruise, you can pre-purchase water. And that is the only way that you can have water delivered to your stateroom. When you do get in your stateroom, you will find that you see normally 2 1.5 liter bottles of water, but they are $4.25 per water. All right, let's talk about it. So, guess what you can't have? That's right, contraband. No weed, no CBD. The only thing that you're allowed to have on that cruise is tobacco products. I believe you can vape. Don't quote me on it, look it up. But at the same time, make sure that you do not have either one of those two. Also, with the alcohol, please make sure that you are not sneaking it in shampoo bottles, mouthwash bottles, because I've seen at plenty of the ports where they actually have a liquid machine that actually tests the substance of that bottle. And I know there's a bunch of different hacks that you guys have seen where you can reseal stuff, but look, hey, I'm not going to tell you what to do. But all I know is if you try to get on that boat and it doesn't work out for you, don't say your boy didn't tell you, all right? And also, they do have K9 dogs now that will make sure that they sniff you prior to coming on. And if they put a hit on you, basically, meaning the dog alerts the handler that they actually smell something, they will actually single you out, take you to the side, and check all your belongings to make sure that you're not bringing anything on the boat. So don't be that guy. Don't be that woman. Just, hey, I'll put it to you like this. If that's something that you just must have, I promise you when I say this, if you want it, you will find it at your port of stop. All right? So just be smart. Don't get kicked off the boat. Don't even put yourself in that position to even not make it on the boat because of that. All right? So once again, tread how you want to tread with that. All right? Also, we'll talk about the kids camp. And so with kids camp, it's pretty much broken down into different things. So you have your camp ocean, and what you have is your turtles, which is from ages 0 to 1. You also have your penguins, which is from age 2 to 5. You have your stingray, which is ages 6 to 8. You have your sharks, that is 9 to 11. And you have Circle C, that is 12 to 14. And you have Club O2, that is from ages 15 to 17. So in between those camps, what'll happen is they'll have registration on that very first day. And then they'll have like a little open house as well the same day, I think later on in the day, where you can pretty much go to the particular area in which your child will be. You'll go there, once again, just look around and see all the different things that your child might do activity-wise. I know for sure that with the littlest kids, what they'll have is they'll give the parents a satellite phone. So if your child gets a little fussy, maybe just doesn't want to be at camp anymore, they can give you a call anywhere that you're on the ship, so that you can come and pick up your child. Keep in mind, normally camp opens from 10 o'clock in the morning all the way up to 10 p.m. at night. If you want to attend like the late comedy show, or you want to go to the casino, or maybe you just want to relax by yourself with your partner, they do have the night owl program, which runs from 10 o'clock until 1 o'clock in the morning. Let me give you the cost for that. So the cost for the night owl program is $7.50 per hour per child, plus an 18% gratuity. So basically, in a nutshell, what you'll be paying is $8.85 an hour per child from 10 to 1. So just keep in mind, if you want to send your children to an aftercare program outside of the free times of camp, because camp is free from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., just make sure that you know that the night out portion is actually a paid service. If you are late picking up your child, they will charge you for the night owl service. Also keep in mind that during the camp times, you are required to pick up your children to eat. The dinner service that they have, the last cruise that I was on, pretty much what happened is you still can take your children to dinner. They do have a specified area that children can go in order to get chicken nuggets and different things like that. So once you take your children there, they will take them back to camp from that dinner spot, but they will not do that for lunch, just for the dinner time. All right, so what we'll do now is we will head into a few other things to talk about. So there is an adult serenity area on the boat. That is an area that is for adults only. It should be child free. And that allows you to pretty much just relax without the comfort of, a bunch of kids that are jumping in the pool, splashing, just being loud. It allows you to relax in the comfortable seating that they have that's out there. Just different things in that sense. And that will often be found at the very top of the boat. Every deck is going to be different on each boat, so I won't even attempt to tell you what deck it'll be on, because it normally will vary depending on the particular boat that you're on. But outside of each elevator, there is a placard card of your cruise ship, and it tells you every single deck, and it also specifies exactly what area you're on. Let me address something that I didn't address at the beginning of the video when I was talking about like when you're planning, right? So keep in mind, you're going to hear different things. You're going to hear different phrases like aft, AFT, forward, FWD, right? And you're also going to hear mid, MID. What these things mean is aft is going to always be the rear of the ship. Then you're going to have the forward, which is obviously the front of the ship. And mid is always going to be the middle of the ship. So what that means is, let's just say you're a person who maybe you've never been on a boat in that sense, and you're not sure if you will experience any motion sickness. The safest part for you to be in would be the middle of the ship, so the mid. So when you're booking your room, you'll see, like I said, the terminology that'll tell you exactly where that room is assigned. And once again, it'll say aft, it'll say forward, or it'll say mid. So once again, if you're not sure, go for the middle of the boat. If you're a person who it doesn't bother you either way, go for the forward of the ship. Keep in mind the forward of the ship, which is the front of the boat, that's what's going to experience the blunt force of the waves first. So obviously the front of the boat is going to have a lot more motion than, let's just say, the middle or the back of the boat, which once again, that is the aft, which is the back, right? So in the back of the boat, those are the two safest areas. And I don't mean safety as far as being on the ship, but I mean just comfort level as far as, worrying about being nauseous or anything. Now keep in mind that boat is super, super massive. So you literally almost, in a sense, have to stand still in order to even feel that it's even moving half of the time. Unless there's an issue where there's a medical emergency or anything in that sense to where the boat is trying to make up time. And then in that event, yes, you probably will feel a lot of the boat moving. Also, there are laundry services on each particular floor. If you look at the map, you will see that there's a laundry service on each floor. Also, there is an iron and an ironing board. So do not bring any of those devices on the ship. They are prohibited items. I know a lot of you have seen different things that are like cruise compliant, this and that, but trust me, don't bring an iron on board. It's a fire hazard. Same thing for candles, anything in that sense. Don't bring any of that onto your boat. For sure, bring room sprays or different things to freshen up the bathroom or the room, things of that nature. But once again, don't bring any type of heating devices on the boat. Also, with your surge protectors, make sure that they are non-surge. So just make sure that it's a non-surge plug. Those are on my website, once again, that I listed below. You can also find them pretty much, anywhere that you want as well. But if you feel free to look on there, and if it's one that you want to pick up, go ahead and do that. Also, with the room, there is a blow dryer that is in that drawer inside of your stateroom. So if you need a blow dryer as well, there's one already provided for you. Keep in mind though, you definitely will want to get a plug that has multiple outlets as well as possibly USB ports on it, because most staterooms really only have one plug. So let's just say you have 3 people in the room. Well, everybody won't be able to charge everything at the same time. So definitely make sure that you get something that has multiple options for multiple people to plug up things at the same time. All right. Also with the laundry service, in your drawer, you will find that there is a paper that's in there for like valet laundry service. So let's just say you don't want to go to the laundry service. Well, whoever your stateroom attendant is, you can just let them know that you have X amount of clothes. Make sure that you mark it on the sheet and then just give that to them, and they will launder it for you or press it for you, whatever it is that you need it done, and they will deliver it back to your stateroom. If you don't send the laundry in within a certain amount of time in that particular day, I believe it will be returned the next day, but it's possible that it still could be returned the same day. But just make sure that you look on that sheet. It will tell you the times that laundry needs to be turned in order to get that same day service. All right. Also, if you're a different card level, some of those services are complimentary. And I want to say that only happens with the Diamond and the Platinum members, where you get complimentary laundry service. Also be mindful, there is a library and a gym on the board. Make sure that you check the gym for the times. Library is self-explanatory. Also keep in mind, there is an arcade on board for the adults as well as the kids. All right, but keep in mind that it does cost. I've seen some of the games that are in the arcade cost anywhere from $2 all the way to $5. So every game is obviously going to be a little bit different. Just depends on what you want to play, but just know that there is a cost in order to play those games. Nothing in the arcade is free. The casino on every boat normally is going to be on normally deck 5. And keep in mind the casino is not going to be open at least until an hour outside of the port. So at that time you can go in the casino, have a blast, and do whatever it is that you're doing there to win. Keep in mind that the ATMs that are on the ship, there's normally around 2 or 3 ATMs on the ship. Those normally range from $6 to, I want to say, $6.50 per transaction. So just keep in mind, if you need to pull out any cash for any reason, make sure you do that. It's also a good idea that, once again, once you go into the ports, make sure that you take cash. I know there's a lot of people, once again, everybody has a different way of doing things. I hear a lot of people say they don't like to use credit cards or debit cards when they go into different ports because of scamming, skimmer machines, just different things. But I personally have used my debit card every cruise. Thank God, nothing's ever happened, all right? Once again, I still do take cash. The reason why I take cash is because what you'll realize is a lot of these places that you go still do not have the technology to actually swipe cards. And when I say the technology, I normally mean like most of the like smaller vendors who are selling knickknacks and art pieces and different things of that nature. They don't have card machines, so they kind of work off of cash. Plus, it's a good way of basically being able to tip for anything that you have as well, instead of having to swipe your card every time. So I can't tell you how much to bring on a cruise. I will just tell you myself, I try to keep it somewhere in between 500 and 1,000. And that just really depends on what I want to do. And that really depends on, like, if you plan on bringing, let's just say, drinks back, if you plan on bringing t-shirts, apparel, whatever the case is, artwork, whatever you decide to buy, just make sure that you carry in enough money in order to purchase those things. Also, make sure if you are flying, make sure that you leave enough room in your bags to actually, offset for the things that you will buy and bring back, just so you can make sure that you meet those weight requirements for your luggage, which I want to say is 50 pounds per bag. If you're driving, obviously it's not a big deal. You can carry whatever you can't carry or whatever. So let's just see if there's anything else that I had left out that I wanted to let you guys know about with excursions. Excursions will always, most of the time, be cheaper pre-purchasing before you get on the boat. The reason why I say to pre-purchase is because a lot of times the most popular excursions will be sold out by the time you get on the boat. So you're going to entirely miss out. Now, you can choose to go rogue if you want. Don't book anything. Wait till you get to the port, see what people are there, and choose to go about it that way. But what I will also say is make sure that you book that with a verified vendor that is inside the port. Once again, I can't tell you what to do, but if you want to go outside of the port and you want to book an excursion, just always remember, safety first. Always make sure that you go in a group. Make sure you go with somebody other than yourself, all right? If you're a woman, I'm not saying that you're any less safe, but please make sure there's somebody that's there that can be of protection as you're out and about in these cities, just like I said, on your own or things like that. Once again, safety is always going to be the most important thing. So let's just make sure that we're safe, in the midst of having a good time. So once again, feel free to book those however you want. You can, like I said, book those once you're on the boat, but the price is different from pre-booking. I do know one thing that I did forget, and that was to mention the Wi-Fi. I know it's a question that a lot of people ask me about Wi-Fi on the boat. And so what it really comes down to is, do you really want to use your phone or do you not want to use it? I mean, that's the only way I can really say it. Wi-Fi is optional. It's not a mandatory thing. If you kind of want to go unplugged for the entire trip and you know that your kids or your family, your job, whatever is taken care of, hey, feel free to go unplugged. Me personally, I always pretty much get the internet package, and that's just so that sometimes if I want to do some things on social media, I can do those things. Also, another great reason for having the Wi-Fi on the boat, say anything happens transactional wise, you will have the access to check your bank statements. There is no other way of checking that without having the actual internet package. Please note that the internet package is per person. You can share it, but it's a process and it's annoying. Basically what happens is, let's just say I have the internet. Well, what happens is I have to log out and then I have to log in on somebody else's account. So basically, if you want to keep sharing your information back and forth, just do that. I mean, do what you want to do. But once again, that internet only works for the person and that particular device until you log out and log in on another device with that same information. So let's just talk about it. There's 3 different packages. You have your social, you have your value package, and you have your premium package, right? And so with the Wi-Fi package, it is 15% cheaper if you book that prior to going. So the social package is running at $15.30 per day. Now keep in mind, when you do book this, or not book, but when you purchase the internet, it is a purchase for the entire cruise. There are some packages where you can purchase them by the day, but trust me, it is going to be so much of a difference in cost, and you're going to pay so much doing it by the day than you would if you just purchased the internet for the entire duration of the cruise. So once again, that first package is the social package, $15.30 per day. That is only going to allow you to get on social media sites. So your Facebook, your Instagram, your Snapchat, your TikTok. And I'm not even sure that TikTok will work because that's more of a video service. So you may have some issues getting on TikTok with the social plan. All right. Next, you have your value plan, and that is $19.55 a day, right? That will allow you to have all of your social media, but what it unlocks is it unlocks you to be able to get on your emails, so your Google, your Yahoo, your Hotmail. Also, it allows you to check all of your banking apps. So once again, at the least, if you make sure that you check all of your banking apps, then that is what you want to make sure that you check is the value package for that. Then you have your premium, which is the top tier Wi-Fi plan. Now, it's touted as the speed being 3 times faster. Even some of the ships now are starting to go and be outfitted with Elon Musk's Starlink internet, which should have a greater effect on the internet that everybody's experienced. Worst case scenario, if you do have an issue with the internet not working properly, please go to guest services, go to guest services, go to guest services. Ask them to remove it, or just let them know that the internet has not been working properly, and normally they will remove it without any problems. So once again, that premium plan is $21.25 per day, and it allows you everything prior that I said. So all of your social media, your banking, your email, and this one also lets you do the video calling. So whether it's Skype, it's Google Meets, FaceTime, any of those things will work on this premium Wi-Fi plan. The last thing that I want to talk about really quick is I want to talk about Facebook groups. I'm not sure if you all knew, but I know that when I first started cruising, I didn't even know that it existed. So if you know that you're going on a sailing, let's just say July 2024, look at the specific date, type that in on Facebook, and you normally will find a group that's already been set up. And that's a good way of pretty much kind of like pre-meeting people. They'll be setting up probably duck hiding little events. They'll be setting up maybe pub crawls, shot glass exchanges. I mean, just different things. Even if you have suggestions, just go in there and do that. You'll, like I said, pre-meet people that you can hang out with on the boat, do excursions. I mean, it's a game changer. Especially, let's just say if you're going solo and you want to kind of meet some people or whatever prior to going, you can get good conversation going prior. And so, it'll be less of your worry when you get on there. Also, I wanted to talk about the gratuity. Gratuity can be handled however you want. The purpose of the gratuity obviously is for you to basically say thank you to the crew. So your stewardess, people behind the scenes, for the exceptional work that they do the entire time that you're on the boat to make sure that everything works smoothly. You can do it a couple different ways. You can leave cash for your steward, or you can prepay, or you can just pay it at the end. So let me tell y'all this now, so you don't, so you're not in for a shock. But that day before you leave, you're gonna see that if you didn't prepay for your gratuities, you will see that charge pop up on your statement. So once again, when you're in that Hub app, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see a tab that says Account Summary. That lets you look every day at everything that you're charging. And so when you're looking at that account summary, at the very, very bottom of that, once you're in that account summary, you will see that gratuity has been added the day before. And once again, if you plan on leaving cash, what you want to do at that time, make your way down to guest services. And I promise you that line is going to be long, because everybody's going to be in that same predicament, right? And so if you're leaving cash for your stewardess that attended just your room, once again, go down to guest services, and that'll be on, I think, either deck 3 most of the time. Go down to deck 3 and make sure that you just say, hey, I'm leaving cash for my steward and I just need the gratuity removed from my account. They will remove it with no problems, no questions asked, right? But you still got to make sure you leave it. I mean, don't say you're going to leave a tip for the steward and then just don't leave it. I mean, regardless of whether you didn't, I mean, that's pretty bad, but they still will remove it with no problem. And so there's a few different ways that you can look at it. By leaving a cash tip, the cash tip is only going to go towards the person that serviced your room. Now, if you prepay for gratuities or you pay for your gratuities at the end of the cruise, what'll happen is that portion of money is spread out amongst your crew person that serviced your room, and also a small portion goes to everybody that had their hand, as far as like helping out on the particular cruise. So that could be everywhere from medical staff to just the entertainment staff to the kitchen staff. So all of that gratuity is spread out amongst those people as an extra thank you for everything they've done. All right. So let's just wrap it up talking about when you're getting off the boat, the debarkation. So some of the seasoned cruisers know that it used to be a whole hectic process before, but now it's a digital process. And so with that digital process, basically what you can do is when you're in the Hub app, just go to your planner in the Hub app, scroll all the way to the last day. And when you're at the last day, you'll see it says digital embarkation. And basically, let's just say you have people that are spread out in different rooms. You may want to talk amongst each other and make sure you're all on the same page about what you're wanting to do. Just so that way you can all make it at the same destination at the same time. And so basically during that digital debarkation process, basically all you'll do is you'll say whether you want express or you don't. Express service means you get your bags yourself, you carry them off. The other service is pretty much where the night before the cruise ends, and it has to be before 10 p.m. If it is after 10 p.m., you will still end up carrying your own bags. So the night before 10 p.m., make sure that you have your bags. They will drop off luggage tags, and it'll have a group number on it. And if they don't do that, you can also go down to guest services and pick up those luggage tags. What'll happen is, once again, make sure that everything that you need for that next day is left out and not in those bags, because you won't be able to see them again until you're actually going down towards customs. You'll put those luggage tags on, make sure they're outside of your door before 10 p.m. And once that happens, once again, they will pick up all the bags and make sure they take them off the boat. And what happened is that next morning you'll wake up, you'll get breakfast, you'll wait for the announcement of the boat cleared by local authorities for everybody to go ahead and get off. They will call you by your group. And so once your group is called, you can make your way down towards the gangway to get off the boat. When you get off the boat, just make sure that you're going through customs. Make sure that you have all of that important documentation that you had when you got on the boat. Make sure you have all of that, all right? Because the customs officer will need to see that. Also, if you're bringing back any type of luggage, I mean, not luggage, but different items, let's just say liquor, cigarettes, any of those things, you will need to get a form. It's like a declaration form, basically claiming those items that you brought back. I can't remember what the limit is, but I want to say it's like $10,000 worth of merchandise that you're allowed to bring back per person. So you'll just basically indicate on there what you are bringing back. And when you're going through, the officer, he'll look at that sheet. If you declared anything, he may ask to see it, and he may not, just depending on what it is. And then once they cleared all the documents, you're on your way to planning your next one all over again. All right. Let me go back just on one thing though. Just make sure that when you get to those cruise ports, I know I said it before, but when you get off that boat, make sure that you are aware of the times in which you need to be back on the boat. It'll always be on the Hub app. It'll tell you what time the boat is to arrive, and it'll tell you what time that you need to be back on that boat. So just make sure that you take care of that. We don't want to see you getting lost out there. We don't want to see you getting left. And last but not least, I thank you guys for making it through this video. Hopefully it was a little helpful. It may have been some things that you already knew, maybe it wasn't. Make sure that you hit that subscribe. This is a new channel and I'm trying to grow it a little bit. And so having your help would be the best thing that I could have. And so until next time, I'll let you.